I made a lot of content, particularly on TikTok, talking about the differences between the United States and Europe. I talk about the social welfare systems in Sweden and stuff like that, and the cost and the benefits, and how that compares to the United States culturally, politically, whatever. And something that really frustrates me is that a lot of Americans, I feel like, get very defensive when you talk about Europe and the policies they have, because some policies are kind of better than what the United States has. And Americans have this like built-in desire to cope and say, well, look at all the cons that come with those pros. We can't afford those. We don't want those. That would be bad for us. But it's really frustrating to me because I know the United States very well. I know my fellow Americans, and I know how much potential they have. They have so much potential, but so much of that potential is locked behind poverty and locked behind like a lack of access to very basic things like education and healthcare for a lot of poor Americans. And they have like such good attitudes. They have such good work ethic and aspirations and stuff, but they just lack the real material access to things. So this is my long way of saying that I feel like if Americans gave themselves the systems that Europe has, they could have everything Europe has and more. America has more potential than the European Union, I think, in terms of its people. In terms of its institutions, not so much. But Americans, if they change their institutions to be more representative and democratic and allow people from the bottom to rise to the top more easily, if they make pathways for that make it easier, which I think starts with spending more money from the government on the people, on the people's roads, on the people's healthcare, on the people's education, on the people's job opportunities. Putting money where the market won't put it on its own when it's left to its own devices, because the market is not a god, but the state intervening through the people to help the people. Then that potential can be unlocked. But a lot of Americans, I think, are brainwashed into thinking that that's a bad idea. That actually their potential is best reached by the government doing nothing and staying out of their business. But that narrative is put in place by people who are currently receiving benefits from the current state of affairs, from the current status quo. People who are getting government welfare, and I mean wealthy people, they want you to think that you have no right to have the government intervene on your behalf.